Today, we're talking about a full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius, squaring Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus. You heard me right. Algol, the star of the beheading of the Medusa, sits at that place of Uranus in our current sky, and that energy will be amplified and activated by that full moon in Aquarius coming up on the 19th of August. This full moon is important because it's going to activate major players on the world stage. We'll get to how that looks for us in the world, individually, of course, with your sign, but collectively as well. This moon is triggering a multitude of stories because it is so active at the time of the T-square from hell and some major energy of a Mercury in the heart of the sun, Cazimi, in the sign of Leo, where that sun is sitting, while the moon, of course, opposite the way, creates that full light. This impacts, of course, major world players like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And we're going to talk also about how this impacts you based on your sun sign, moon sign, or you can listen most accurately perhaps for your rising. So stay tuned. I'll get into the big picture stories and I'll get into your story as well. If you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac, the whole sign house system, and fixed stars and minor asteroids are always in my delineations. In today's video, we're going to highlight the Sabian symbol upon which this lunation falls. And the Sabian symbol is a tree felled and sawed. And some of the key elements of this in the book I love to use make me wonder what this could mean. Practicality and a sacrifice of the lesser for the good of the greater. So what sacrifice is pending that could be for the good of the greater? We shall see. You know, it's interesting for me because I actually said in my Monday video for the week ahead, you're probably watching this on Thursday, that this was one of those skies that's talking about, like, let's talk about the weather of the blizzard, the tornado, the hurricane, and give you another weather pattern, you know, earthquake or something, climate pattern all at once. The sky has been so intensely lit up starting middle of the week, you know, the 13th, 14th of August, all the way through to the 22nd of August. So it's a kind of grip the ride, you know, see what happens, but it's intense. And then this moon gets bundled into the story. You know, the energy of this moon is really amplifying whatever that July 15th Mars-Uranus conjunction was for in each of our charts and collectively. And, you know, that was the July 15th conjunction that opened that space for the assassination attempt on Donald Trump on the 13th of the month. So this Algol decapitation, losing one's head, is one of the many other reasons that I predicted not only would Trump be in harm's way, but that Biden would step away, be decapitated as a head of state. Now, he's still here, he's still the head of state, but he's no longer the one running for the re-election. And it's possible even that we still may see in the couple months that follow, when I'm talking August 12th, when I'm recording this, we still may see him step down even from the presidency. And that would put Kamala in charge. We shall see. And is Donald Trump even out of harm's way at this point? Who knows? So there's a lot going on coming up the week of the Democratic National Convention, including this full moon on the 19th, which is Monday. This full moon sits on Kamala Harris's natal Saturn. That is going to activate her Saturn in the 9th house. It is a strong Saturn in Aquarius, but it does indeed make her chart come alive. It wakes up the chart of her you know, destiny and her sky. And she's under a lot of intensity from the T-square as well, with a Venus return. At the same time, we have an opposition between Jupiter and Mars, opposite Saturn, squaring her Venus, and Venus in the real-time sky. So that's a lot of astrology. We won't make it too complicated. Go watch my video for Monday that came out. It delineates in a lot more detail. Now, one of the things I'm feeling about this sky is it may also relate to issues to do with Russia and Ukraine. So we'll break that down and why there may be some major changes going on there, as well as Gaza and Israel as a result of this full moon. Every full moon is a fulfillment or a actualization of something that began 6 months earlier on February the 9th, 2024, when we seeded a new thing with a new moon in the sign of Aquarius. And now we have a full moon in the sign of Aquarius. And therefore, we are connecting two separate dots. And so people who have strong Aquarian energy, like say China, which is an Aquarius rising nation, are highly, highly activated. And so there's also the possibility of a fulfillment of something that China began in February coming to fruition or fulfillment. I'll take a quick peek at what China was up to in February and see what kind of stories may be emerging about the nation of China as well. The energy here for me, feeling this fulfilling energy, is that things that were explosively planted, like a bit of a landmine, of Uranus conjunct Mars on Algol. And that's something that is a last in a lifetime conjunction of these two planets in the sign of Taurus. It won't happen again for another, 80 odd years. Is that we never know what Mars and Uranus do when they co-join in Taurus. I've been watching this pattern. It takes 2 to 3 months to find out what it is. However, because, for example, the sun of the United States Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange is where this conjunction happened on the star Algol, in the 26-degree area of the sign of Taurus, we are going to definitely see that there's going to be more developments regarding the New York Stock Exchange or the stock markets of the United States in general, as this is your canary in the coal mine signature. So since we had the Mars-Uranus conjunction on the stock exchange sun of the New York Stock Exchange happening at the top of the sky of the stock exchange, we have seen the first rumbles of a correction with that downdraft that happened on a Monday recently. So Monday, a week ago from Monday the 12th. So there'll be some fulfillments of more of those stories of what this moon triggers. See, this moon is like squaring or talking to a place where Uranus is still sitting. And the reason Donald Trump was implicated in a harm's way attempt was because this Mars, violence, and Uranus shocking, 10th house midheaven, Donald Trump high noon public visibility, he's on a stage, squared his ascendant, his body, and his Mars, made for a very opposed Mars. And I guess you could say the security team that ran up to push him down is his Mars team, and the Mars is the shooter or shooters that were aiming at him, and boom, we had this event happen. But that means that this is being reactivated for Trump. This is being reactivated for New York Stock Exchange stuff. So we're going to see stories fulfilling, furthering. One way I do this for mundane astrology, which is world astrology, and I'm going to cover that now before we open up the chart and talk about your sign, is I go back and see what happened in February, because the month after the new moon is literally going to be all the seeds that were planted that are now becoming fulfilled in this month ahead, from the 19th of the month of August, maybe add a month, but even add 6 months. Just as a new moon is percolating themes for 6 months ahead of itself, the fulfillment or fullness energy of a full moon at 27 Aquarius is piloting out stories for the next 6 months. But you'll see the tonal quality of the stories, right? As we look at it now, as we look at the time frame of the next, 3 weeks to 4 weeks that follow, the 19th of the month of August. So what happened back in the day? February 9th, at about a month. Here's a few ideas, right? Biden and Trump won their primaries in the state of Michigan. So we have some political stories, right? Proof of concept that both of those guys could run, particularly Trump, right? So Trump is showing up, winning primaries. But at the same time, there were a lot of worries in the month of February about the protest votes and the non-committed votes that were showing up in large chunks. And so we see voter non-committal stories, especially around the Gaza war, especially not wanting to vote for Biden, the Gaza-Israel thing, creating non-committed votes. And that was a story that was in the cycle of February of 2024. Also, we had Biden's special counsel report that was suggesting publicly that he had dementia and was, a man with a bad memory, and that was damaging to his reputation in the month of February. There could be some more fulfillment of stories to do with Biden's cognitive decline. We know he's going to talk at the DNC on Monday. What kind of alarming stories or evidence of inability not only to be a candidate for the election, because he's no longer that, but to be the commander-in-chief of a country, and there may be pressure after the DNC to have him step down and no longer be the acting president, and that would put Kamala in charge. Just an example. We also saw the United States veto, yet again, the third time in February of 2024, off that new moon in Aquarius, veto the UN Security Council ceasefire resolution put forth by Algeria, the third veto by the United States UN Council envoy. Again, the United States gets in the way of a ceasefire resolution in the Middle East. We also saw, therefore, Gaza, Middle East ceasefire stories. It is supposed to be August 15th that there's a ceasefire resolution pending, trying to cobble it together with that deadline. And as I'm recording on Monday the 12th, who knows what's going to happen? We know that Iran is planning revenge against Israel's assassination of the Hamas chief on its sovereign territory. And maybe we're seeing, again, stories to do with the United States blockading peace, or maybe reversing the story and getting into a bid for peace. And finally, we also saw that occasion that shocked the world, where people were trying to receive aid food at the end of February in an aid convoy in northern Gaza, and there was a mass massacre of those people, those civilians scrambling for the aid, and over 100 people were killed. That was a big, shocking news story. Now, as I record on Monday, August 12th, the latest one is 100 people killed in the bombing of a school in Gaza. Yet again, another school has been destroyed, and hundreds of civilians have been killed to ostensibly kill 12 militant Hamas soldiers. And somebody did some digging. Somebody did some digging into that and discovered that the people, that the 12 that were claimed dead by Israel, 3 of them already been claimed dead by Israel. They're repurposing dead people. One of them was a professor. One of them was, these people weren't militants. The names don't match the stories. Independent of what I'm telling you, we just saw that happen. But if we had a story in February on the new moon in Aquarius, it was like a shocking story of civilian death at the gunfire of the IDF or the soldiers operating in Gaza. There is again going to be shocking stories that upset us coming off of this August the 19th lunation, maybe a little bit before and in the weeks that follow, to do with death in the Middle East. So these stories are going to be repeating, but in bigger and more shocking ways, because of the square to Uranus on Algol. Algol is a star for ghoul, demons, difficult circumstances, rotting bodies and corpses, the beheading of the Medusa. So none of this looks good. None of this feels good. None of this is super awesome. This is going to be a tough week ahead. In our own lives, there's something much different going to be happening. Each of us has a placement in our sky that can receive this in one way or another, a sun, moon, or rising placement. Or you have a planet or significant placement around 27 degrees of Aquarius, or 27 degrees of Leo, or 27 degrees of Taurus, or 27 degrees of Scorpio. If you have placements there, that planet will be activated. If it's your sun, your moon, or rising, it is going to be activated. So we're going to talk about your sign as well. That's the second half of the video. If you don't like world astrology, no worries, guys. You can just click the old chapters, which is the title of this video, gives you a breakdown to run ahead to your sign, or I pin your timestamps at the top of each video, and it allows you to race ahead and just go to your sign. But if you like world astrology, you want to buckle up for how this moon, which is also embedded within a Mercury cazimi from the 18th, a Sunday, and then the moon on the Monday. It's like, holy man. I have a free Mercury cazimi webinar. Jump aboard. You might enjoy it. That class is being taught. I can't remember which day, but Saturday the 17th. And if you want to learn a little bit about how to use the stars, and the asteroids involved, there's some very interesting minor asteroids bundled into this Mercury cazimi, then I would invite you to join me in the free webinar on Saturday. If you can't make it, just register. You'll get the replay sent to you afterwards. So keep that in mind. That's going to be something I love to do. I love teaching about Mercury cazimi. Is one of my favorite topics. This is a Mercury retrograde cazimi. It's powerful, it's potent, it's close to Earth, it's more magical. Come aboard and see if you don't want to learn a little bit of astrology for free. All right, so I'm going to move ahead, show you the chart, talk a little bit about how this may impact gently and generally, quickly, and not with much time here, Biden, sorry, how this may impact Kamala, how this may impact Donald Trump. They're both deeply in the crosshairs of this energy. How this may impact as well, to some degree, Joe Biden, even though he seems to be off stage. Is he really? So we're going to see if this energy with his 27-degree Scorpio sun or whatever is also mucked up in this. So we got Biden, Donald Trump, Kamala. We also may just gently touch into China and Russia and Putin narratives. And then we're going to move ahead away from all of that and we're going to be talking about your sign. The world astrology should take me maybe 20 minutes, and then we'll do your sign. So welcome to my channel again. If you're new, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. For all of you regulars, please keep on coming back. My Sky Reader class to Time Your Best Life is coming up soon on Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life. I'm probably starting it the third week or fourth week of September. If you want to jump aboard for a 6-week live class with me to get early bird discount notice, etc., look in the description link below. You'll see the getting on the waitlist notification link, and you'll be notified as soon as the doors open, and you'll be notified about getting early bird discounts, because the first people in get a discount for jumping ahead of the crowd. All right, I'll see you guys as we move forward into the next part of the story, which is we're going to open up the chart, and we're going to look at the sky, and we're going to talk a little bit of mundane astrology, and then we're going to do your sign. Okay, we're continuing about our story on the sky of the moon at 27 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. I almost forgot to mention this moon is on the Aquarian 27-degree moon of the Sibly United States chart. I can't believe that went almost out the window, because I was thinking of Kamala and the Trump thing, but United States moon, which can represent the people of the country, the people are also in the crosshairs. Okay, so now my microphone's working again. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the sky before we get to your sign. This video is being recorded Monday, August the 12th, and a deficit of information. It will come out on Thursday, the 15th. And the moon itself is on Monday, the 19th. So let's get ready and talk about what's happening here. And you'll notice that there's a lot of data on my storyline. So let's pull it back away from the multiplicities of things that are happening. I wanted to mention just briefly, I don't think Ukraine is not without its storyline here. If anyone has time or energy to go back to what was happening in the Ukraine, around the month of February 24, stories about February of 2024 will outpicture close to the week or 2 or 3 after this moon, because Ukraine is involved, because Ukraine has not only an Aquarius moon in the 22nd degree of Aquarius, but the nation of Ukraine is also connected to a Venus in Leo at 28 degrees, and a Mercury at 26 degrees, and a Jupiter at 25 degrees of Leo. That whole second 8th house axis of the nation of Ukraine is activated. Now, monies can come through this axis, who finances the country, etc., economies, etc., but also the 8th house can be where mass deaths occur, and mass deaths can occur when you have a war, and they've had a lot of people dying. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers have died. And that's just to remind you, the 8th house is always simply also about death. Because this moon is full in the 2nd house, it is a money house for a nation. And so there's something about the finances and the financial issues and other people's money that they can get their hands on, including U.S. funding, that is going to be very big in the next while after this moon takes place. You know, you think about the United States of America's sibly chart, and you think about it being in this position of recently used United States chart. Of course, it's not going to show up when you need it. It's right down here. Sorry about putting Vladimir Putin in the middle, but the United States 27-degree moon is conjunct the moon of Ukraine. And that is an indicator of a natural affinity between the two countries, the two nations, or what they wish to accomplish together about we the people. And there is a we the peopleness to this Aquarius energy, because NATO expansion is what is the reason why the United States keeps trying to fund Ukraine, even though the Minsk Accord and other agreements made over the years have said that Ukraine will never be a part of the NATO alliances. And it was a last straw for Russia. The alliance of peoples under some Aquarian societal structures or formats, which is NATO umbrellas, is one of the agendas of what goes on in the story of Ukraine vis-a-vis United States. There's a lot more as well. I can't put everything in here all of the time. But I want you to know, I do think that this full moon will open up major activity in the United States and relative to the war in Ukraine. And we're going to see some big stories about that probably coming through the sky this lunation on the Monday the 19th, maybe a day or two before and up to 2 to 3 weeks after. Expect that story to be a big deal. Now, if I was to take another chart and only look at that alone, I can look at Vladimir Putin, who's involved in the Russian-Ukraine conflict as well. He's in harm's way because his Mars on the stinger Shala, the tail of the scorpion, is in a crosshairs from the T-square action, the T-square from hell on the 19th. It's pretty exact. And that's Venus in Virgo up here. And that's going to be Jupiter and Mars over here and Saturn down here. And that Shala is only 9 degrees. It counts. His Mars is 9 degrees away from the T-square in the house of things he puts in his mouth, as well as financial matters. But it's also the house of where he's afraid he's going to be poisoned, because Shala is the stinger of the scorpion's tail. And there's a lot going on for him at this time, which could indicate some kind of financial crisis or some kind of difficulty, especially when it comes to matters to do with secrets or money. But I would also be cautious if I was him for poisoning, for literal poisoning through social events where Venus sits in the 11th house, that there isn't an attempt to cause him harm. You know what I mean, right? The word ASS, that word I'm afraid I'll be deplatformed on. The thing that happened to Trump, but Trump escaped it, that I don't like this guy around August 19th for Putin. If he's facing any kind of harm's way stuff, it will look like that. Fear of being poisoned and some health challenge or difficulty for him in that regard. And the Algol story, remember the decapitation, off with your heads. Algol, Mars-Uranus conjunction was happening on an asteroid called Hygeia for health matters, but in his 7th house of other people. So I'm not sure what that will indicator look like. Jupiter was kind of half involved, but not particularly. This Algol conjunction with Mars in the house of his open enemies also, though, did square Pluto midheaven for him. And there can be a massive change towards his career path based on the maneuvers of his open enemies. And that, again, is something we're going to see play out in the next couple of years, but more critically in the next 2 or 3 months, evidence of maybe powerful problems about, his career and work. This whole stellium in Ukraine's 8th house is connected to plutonium and Pluto and, death and destruction and weapons of mass destruction on Putin's midheaven. Now, that's why he's a dictator, if you want to call it that, or he's a tyrant, or he's a despot or something, because he has Pluto midheaven storylines going on in his chart. But when we look at that stellium in the house of the chart of Ukraine, and we overlap it with Ukraine's chart, Putin-Ukraine, Putin's got this intensity of Pluto up where this whole, full moon opposition is happening. So there's a lot going on in the Pluto, in the full moon aftermath, that has to do with the war between Russia and Ukraine. If somebody wants to go look at February 9th or the month of February, what was going on then between the Putin story, the Ukraine story, and this may be a new area escalation with a shock, surprise, and awe of the square to Uranus. That's the key point, the shock, surprise that's going to be embedded within this. And in the nation of Ukraine, the shock, surprise, and awe come through the 5th house of a nation. That 5th house is often through people who are celebrities, but hey, guess what? Zelensky was a comedian, so he's both a world leader and a comedian. It's like he carries both roles. Let's move away from that story for a minute, and let's just go back to the United States of America. If I can get that chart to show up again, because the software is always driving me nuts. I'm going to edit the chart, but not really. I just want to somehow move it up. Okay, sure. I don't want to cast this chart all over again. Okay, it's not going to, oh, there it is. Good. So United States of America has a moon at 27 degrees on Athena, who's like a lawyer, who's like an author, who's like a curator, who's like an AI knowledge and wisdom robot, who is literally like the goddess of wisdom and knowledge. Anyway, in Aquarius, for the people, and the moon, we the people. In the 3rd house of, things to do with rallies, things to do with social events, things to do with the media and the news outlets, things to do with announcements the government makes to the world through the media. So this is what is going on for the United States. There's a full moon, there's a full revelation, there's a full revealing of something connected to the lunation on the 18th, 19th, 20th time frame. It's all kind of playing out at once. And that energy is opening up an insight or a clarity or an announcement that shines a lot of light, full moon light in a media house for a nation, announcements by the government for a nation, or things that happen in local environments and events. You know what I mean? Like when someone goes on a campaign trail and speaks at local places, that's third house travel. So there's those big energies going on here for the United States of America, but because of the square energy to the Algol Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus place, which is here, there is going to be the energy of some shock, maybe connected to the workforce, to the economics and the economy of the United States. And of course, the stock market, New York Stock Exchange stock market chart, 10th house sun is also in the crosshairs of this story. Like, yeah, it's not an easy sky. I'm going to give it that. The ascendant of the New York Stock Exchange would be a Leo ascendant, you know, if I remember correctly. And therefore, also, it really shakes up the New York Stock Exchange. Whatever's going on this full Aquarius moon looks like a lot more stock market turbulence. August 19th, add a month. Buckle up for that as well. And then lastly, we are in the middle of a presidential election run-up year, as we all unfortunately know. That rocking, Raleigh, gnarly T-square from hell that's happening with Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, everybody, Venus. It's happening here. Wash my fingers. Maybe I'll annotate. It's happening in Virgo, and that's where Venus is sitting, right? And she's at 17 degrees up here. It's happening down here with Saturn at 17 degrees in the sibly chart. When I'm going to put a transit chart, I just want you to know there's this opposition. This is the leadership of the United States. Venus is a female, Kamala is running. This is the leadership of the United States presidents, the party, the Democratic Party in power. Can even be a Nancy Pelosi moment. She strikes me as Virgoian in her demeanor sometimes, but also down here, opposite the opposing party, which is the Republican Party. There is this big and intense energy between the parties, the rulers and the unruling party around the 19th of the month. It is going to form into the 7th house of open enemies and opponents for the nation of the United States, where Jupiter is with Mars, a very big tension in the sky. And it's going to be close enough to the descendant ascendant axis at 17-degree moments here that it looks like something going on with an open enemy. I don't know, Russia, China, Iran, who are the United States open enemies that they declare open enemies? There's going to be some problem that's quite obvious in the sky. The 19th of the month of August, add at least a month. There's going to be a huge energy. It's going to be very intense. It's going to be very difficult. I would guess it's Iran-Israel. Okay, I would guess it's Iran-Israel. I'm not going to go into the charts of Israel and Iran and Netanyahu. They're all mucked up in this gnarly sky. But as I record on the 12th, at this point, as I know of in the afternoon at 4:30, Iran has not launched a weapon yet at Israel, but there's all this pending rumor that they will be a mass assault against Israel. The United States said at one point in a news conference that they would defend Israel if that happened. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But you got to remember that United States of America, as a Sag rising, is in a time in which Jupiter and Mars co-joined in a house of open enemies. And the last time that happened, the Berlin Wall fell down in 1989, and glasnost and peace with Russia was achieved. It's almost counterintuitive because Jupiter Mars can look like strength for the enemy. But it's how it played out in 1989. Can we go back into a period in which somehow, some way, the United States is a part of a de-escalation process of opposing forces and enemies in its world? Really, I would hope that, because this Mars-Jupiter conjunction takes place over the next 2 years. It's not a story that's just a short term, but on the 14th of the month of August, Jupiter and Mars co-join in the house of open enemies of the United States, and glasnost and the Berlin Wall falling and peace talks and nuclear de-escalation was the result. I'm trying to be hopeful. Otherwise, Mars Jupiter gives the United States enemies a great deal of power. So let's keep that in mind. Now I will stop the share and we're going to talk about your sign. I might do an update video because I'm recording this video a whole week before the actual moon and world events may transpire. I may have new insights I wish to share with you. I do want to say, with the Sabian symbol being a tree felled and sawed, something's going to go down. Kaboom. Anything can go down. Putin could go down. Trump could go down. Biden could go down. I'm still not sure Biden's health is going to prevail to the end of the year. Biden's got his 27-degree or so sun in the square crosshairs from his 12th house to this gnarly, moon that squares Algol in his 6th house of health matters. Algol, decapitation head, is a whole sign square, but it still counts. And the sun, 23-degree sun of Netanyahu, I believe it's Netanyahu's son, is also sun. He's the leader of the country. Let me double check if it's Israel's sun or Netanyahu's sun at 23 Taurus. It is the sun of Israel that is also being compromised by the sky, because the Algol conjunction, so in other words, fixed star Algol Mars Uranus conjunction that occurred on the 15th of July, okay, is being reactivated, being reinvestigated by a full lunation at 27 Aquarius, squaring that position in the chart of Israel. And in a nation's chart, the sun represents the ruler of the nation, the head honcho of the nation. So this head honcho of Israel as a Libra rising is an 8th house Taurus sun, right? So that could be like Netanyahu. And it is going to get into a big tangle, a difficult square with a full moon in the sign of its 5th house. And opposite that, of course, is the sun in Leo. In Israel's 9th house of religion, but also foreign lands, foreign countries, and foreign justice systems, including ICJ and ICC. So Netanyahu could get decapitated, so to speak, beheaded, lose his job as head of state, or something worse. Putin's in harm's way from this lunation. Again, what could happen to him with that poisoning Shala getting mixed up in everything in the T-square is what I'm talking about there. And we see the moon in the United States getting implicated. We're seeing a lot of tension in the sky. I do think Biden's health is in jeopardy with the Scorpio sun entangled in the Algol T-square as well. So, and his Scorpio sun is going to be under duress, and it's a sun in the house of hospitals and hidden things, with a Algol energy in the house of sickness. So in my humble opinion, that's going to look very challenging for Joe Biden, even though he's already got health problems. I'm not sure that his health problems are over. I'm not sure that we're seeing the full extent of what Biden's dealing with. He's a Sagittarius rising, just like the United States of America. Just so you know, that makes his sun. Let me show you the U.S. chart. I'm still in the U.S. chart. Yeah. So he's got his natal sun here in the 12th house. He's got his moon over here in the 6th house. And therefore, that energy gets completely activated. And this is the 3rd house of news, media, stories, events that have to connect with announcements by the government or things that happen in local travel environments. So something's also going to hit Biden pretty difficultly, hardly, challengingly as well from his 3rd house axis. So what it is, I don't know, but everybody's mucked up in it. It almost makes me feel that there's so much going on that this is really some world event category stories, not just the stories of, I think I was sharing, I don't know, not just the stories of the United States. So what kinds of things, black swan events, nosedives in the stock market, terrorist attacks, and we're talking about any time between next 6 months, actually, mid-August to add 6 months, but probably more overtly so in the first month after the 19th. So the August 19th to September 19th duck is really a difficult story for the world. Okay. Now, enough of that harder stuff. Let's do the all signs story. We're starting with Aries, then we're going to move through. Again, I might do another video. I'm not sure if I do another video closer to the event. It will just be an update. I might do the all signs in the update, but this is probably the mostly likely the only video I'm going to do. So let's get the sky on the road and let's show it to you, and let's wander through the gnarly world of the sky. Oh my God, it's really gnarly. Oh my gosh. Thanks for liking, subscribing. Sky Reader starts in September, probably the last weekend. If you want to enroll in that course, please jump aboard. I'd love to have you learn how to read your own chart. So be your own astrologer, time your best life. I'm teaching you timing tools, not personality analysis. Alrighty. Here we have it. I'm not starting with Libra. No, that's a bait and switch. I do apologize. I'm going to cue the chart for the actual day of the moon. So let's pull it up back to the 19th. And we'll get going, and we'll start with Aries, of course. Yeah, always with Aries, because it's easier to have people come into my live premiere Zoom room and know that Aries started the show and Pisces ends it. Sorry, Pisces. I know it's a tough one for you guys. Oh gosh. Okay. And a day. Now, the new moon is at 27 degrees. Don't worry, the moon moves quickly. Right now you're seeing it at 23. Just don't worry about it. Okay, the moon is fast moving. Let's get rid of the midheaven. It moves to a sign every 2 to 2.5 days, actually. Let's take away all the clutter that we don't need. We really don't. I might leave Hygeia in there. I'm not sure we'll need her, but I'll keep the asteroids in. All right. All right. Is there anything else I want to say? No, this is good for now. So this moon is moving, through the sign of Aquarius, and you're getting full light there. And if you're an Aries sun, moon, or rising, this is about whatever you started in February coming to fulfillment, completion, endings, or ripening and harvesting. This is about career gains most often. It's the greater gains from your career, the rewards, the perks, the recognition, quite often the increase of financial reward as well. And so you're finding that this is a part of your sky that is full, it's lit, and it's going to be lit between the 19th of the month of August at 6 months, but you might find a lot of energy in the first month after. But with shock and surprise of Algol in the narrative, the point of the sky that was activated with Uranus still here, this is some sort of financial surprise, because Algol is a wealth star, some kind of financial excitement, may be good. Squares don't always bring negative things, that they may bring intensity, they bring a need for action and decisions and change. But there is a full light in the house of your career gains and your longer range dreams and wishes and the groups of people that you belong to and your friendships. And there is a bit of a surprise or shock. It's on a money axis with the second house for most of you. There's going to be a big money surprise, a big money shock coming off the full moon. But I'm going to say it feels mostly positive, okay? Mars is your ruler, and he happens to be moving at the time with Jupiter in your third house, creating an overall flow to this moon. So he actually, Mars, your ruler, says, I like this lunation. We're going to get more money coming to you if we can through your career gains. And third house matters, which could be writing projects, social media, websites, the online world, teaching or writing, that kind of stuff. So in essence, this moon feels better than it does feel hard. And I'm not going to address the T-square from hell. That's in my Monday video. Go back and watch how this T-square impacts you in the week ahead and over the course of the next 10 days, even, until next week. Anything else I want to say about the moon? Because it's a new beginning from something you planted, you might just go back to your schedule in February. What seeds were you planting? What activities were you doing connected to career gains and career matters? Because this is now the harvest season for that. I mean, things look good. And in essence, again, the whole sign flow from Jupiter, Mars to the moon, and Mars being your ruler, this is going to be something that you're going to enjoy. This is not going to rock your world and turn it upside down in a way you want to get out of the story, but you might actually be quite happy with the story, enjoying the story. And just to remind you that with Hygeia now transiting your second house, you're getting healthier over the next few weeks because of what you eat. And you're taking away things that hold you back, especially addictive, escapist substances. And your health is improving because of your diet style. And some of that T-square suggests that. But it's also because of the shock and awe of Algol here. You may have a conversion experience, and this full moon up here is like, you might join a group, like, Weight Watchers or Alcoholics Anonymous, or something that really can open up in surprising and fast moving changes to health vis-a-vis the way you ingest or eat foods or substances. And then we move into Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. It's a story of a full light that's becoming fruiting, fruition, and completions and visible light in the 10th house of career. And it is a big energy up there that, you know, is taking cue from a seed you planted in the month of February. And now you're coming into the light of its fruiting and harvesting time. And you wouldn't mind this with Pluto up here, because in essence, a lot of you are really powering up. I should always say that this is a full moon co-present with Pluto for the first time here. This is a full light that powers you right up to some kind of career ambitious success over the 6 months that follows this lunation, but even in the month that follows as well. The surprises that come off the square to Algol. Well, you are Algol. Now, Algol is alcohol, and some of you might be dealing with alcohol habits and patterns you don't need. You might have to break free. But it's also, you're looking for that energy of freedom and breakthrough. Mars, Uranus in the house of you. If you happen to be a Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, in the later degrees of Taurus, especially 25 to 29, you really feel this. This is like kaboom. You're really changing your course of action. You are fighting free. You're breaking through and breaking free of something that holds you back. And you're experiencing a gain and an increase in your career success at the same time. Ultimately, of course, we do have the Mercury Sun in the 4th house. And I mean, I'll do a webinar and a whole video on the Cazimi. Stay tuned for that. It'll be coming out Sunday, the 18th, probably. But that Mercury Cazimi is like, what are you going to be doing that allows you to have a deep, profound change of ideas or insights about your childhood, your home life? And the moon is reflecting some of this Cazimi insight into the top of your sky. Your career success is based on things you're ideating, communicating, or receiving revelation and insight on from your home life, in your home, and connected to your relationship with father figures in your life. And they don't have to be your dad. Sometimes our mates are our father figures as women, right? Or even a gay guy, right? So you got to look at who those father figures are. Big insights coming through that Cazimi, because this is about your childhood. It's really about people you received instruction from when you were young, and you might be revealed to you this weekend on the 18th, insights about that. Come to my webinar to dive into the asteroids involved and more details, basically. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks to me like you got a full big moonlight shining brightly up in your 9th house. Square. Yeah. So let's get to that in a minute. You know, a moon up here is good for you because it flows to you, right? It's flowing to you. So it's saying, you know, I like full moons or new moons in my 9th house. You planted seeds in your 9th house, Gemini, book publishing, pilgrimage, foreign travel. I went on the El Camino. I'll never do it again, but I went on the El Camino. So I planted a seed in pilgrimages, house of God, spirituality, book publishing, legal matters, visas, foreign travel, academic settings, teaching and learning there. So those were seeds that I planted because I have a progressed sun in Gemini. That's why I'm talking about it. Progressed planets are not as important as natal, secondary influence. But what seeds did you plant in your 9th house back in February? Because now a full light is coming and a full light is shining in that part of the sky. So to use an example, while I was on the El Camino, a book agent who gets people published, asked me to participate perhaps in a formal book proposal for an astrology book. And that happened while I was on the Camino, that she reached out to me, and the fulfillment of that initial beginning is coming to fruition, is maybe the publication of a book or the completion of a proposal. So I want you to go back to February, and even February, add 6 months to now. What's been going on in your 9th house, because you want to bring it to another level of fulfillment. 9th house is also 3rd marriages. If you're in a 3rd marriage, like people, 3rd long-term committed cohabitational love. This is also going to be influencing a fulfillment, ending, completion, or a bigger light in that relationship. Energetically, the square to Algol is coming off the house of foreign shores, foreign lands, self-undoing and self-sabotage, breakthroughs in your spiritual life, breakthroughs in your addictions, breakthroughs in your self-undoing. And you're radically turning corners here. But on the other hand, you could also get some wealth from far off people, foreign shores, entities, and people. You might be coming into wealth from international sources. Algol is a wealth star. And the surprising element may not be just on the 19th, but it could be around 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the moon, or it could be unfolding in a longer domino effect of the 6 months that follow this moon. New ideas, of course, from the Cazimi will be coming to you about writing projects. If you are a writer, you want to take the Cazimi, which is Sunday, and you want to either write something because it's an auspicious election, or you want to actually download something, come up with insights. But things to do with writing, communicating, and teaching and traveling can also be doors of shift for you as a result of this moon. And you'll see those opportunities emerging in the month after the moon, right till mid-September, or as well over the 6 months that follow. Mercury is the lord of your sky, and he's in a Cazimi with the sun. So you're going to pay attention to this one, guys. This is important for the Gemini Virgo people. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, you're always importantly influenced by new and full moons because the moon is the lord of your sign. This is a big full moon that is taking cue from February seeds you planted in your 8th house of chunky money, taxes, investments, stock market stories, things to do with money you share with your spouse, things to do with occult mysteries, magic, and secrets. And you planted seeds in the 8th house, and now they're coming to light. A full moon in the 8th house always brings secrets to light. If there's anything hidden from your view that you need to see, you will, especially about childhood, family of origin, or your spouse. Now, this is attended by Pluto for the first time in your life, really. Full moon Pluto co-presence. There's energy of Pluto wanting to take some revelation back into the house of marriage. So again, marital secrets may be emerging for some Cancers, for example. On the other hand, you could have a full light up here squaring a wealth star Algol that could bring you some significant wealth through an elder sibling, through friends who are benefactors and allies, or through the gains you make in your career and the investments of the monies from those gains. So it can amplify career stories as well. Secrets from a friend or elder sibling can be revealed, and they may be shocking. Your elder sibling or an ally friend may lose their head, and it will be over money matters, and you might watch out for that. With the Mercury story opposite the moon, right? Cazimi, the sun, you have to pay attention to what the heck that's about. That's something to do with what Mercury wants you to learn or understand or know in a deep, profound way. A divine insight about finances may be coming your way. And a lot of you may use that Cazimi as well as insights into changing your food style, particularly as it pertains to removing addictions from your life. And because the full moon is in the 8th house, often we see things from that moon that have to do with our deep psychological structures of our character. And you may be having some spiritual and psychological awakenings coming off this full moon as well that surprise you and maybe coming courtesy of an elder sibling. Okay. We move to the Leo, sun, moon, and rising. You have a big full moon percolating some light in the marriage house. What do you need to see about a marriage partner, a business partner? What light needs to shine into a significant relationship in your life, including clients, audience, and marketplace? And if this big light is shining here, it's got Pluto. So it's involving things that were maybe under the surface or secretive or hidden or transformative. So there's some revelations there for sure. With an gnarly T-square impacting the house of secrets as well, there can be situations regarding long-term love stories, marital type relationships, and hidden secrets coming off the light of this moon on the 19th at 2 weeks to 3 weeks after. I would say with the Algol square, you've got the moon shining big light squaring Uranus. What shocks and surprises that may have been percolating back in July 15th, right? Are coming out of your career and reputation space. A full light here could open up a surprisingly wealthy opportunity for a legal contract for a new position in your career. And with Mercury in the first house, you're having exactly the insights, the communication skills, and the ideas with that Sun Mercury combination to get what you want negotiated in a potential career offer that may surprise and shock you and escalate your level of success and your level of wealth. And that is accompanied by Venus in the money and earnings house flowing to the Algol energy. And there again, we could see some increase of wealth and increase of job and stature that surprises and shocks you. If it's off with your head, the boss gets fired and you get leveled up, for example. You know what I mean? Something, the whole division is cut away and something new emerges, big changes there as well. Because legal contracts to get employed or to take a new job position can happen to be 7th house matters. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. What are you going to do when you have a big full moon in Aquarius that's shining from seed you planted in February, that's shining in your 12th house? Well, you're going to get, in your 6th house from the sun in your 12th. You're going to get some kind of karmic release, perhaps from any kind of karmic structures that have held you back, especially when it comes to spiritual philosophy. But also, this moon can also shine light on issues to do with health, self-undoing, addictions. It can also bring you fulfillment and wealth and completion and energy and emotional satisfaction in work matters. They allow you to be lucky, bountiful, and prosperous in your career. And that's because of Jupiter Mars up here. And there's a favorable disposition from this full moon. I would say that the energy also of this deeper Mercury, pay attention to your dreams around this full moon, 18th to the 21st. Really look what insights are coming to you from your dreams at night. What kinds of ideas are coming when you're meditating, because Mercury is delivering those full on here in the 12th house. And if you have a need to start your life anew by unhooking from pleasures that are satisfying but not good for you, pleasure doesn't bring rewards at all. Sometimes you might be unable to do that until now. And this could be a real turning point around addictions, because the sun is shining light from the house of self-undoing into the house of health. And this energy is like a divine intervention, a lightning bolt from the sky of heaven and the place of, God, that can really turn some addictions around for some Virgos. And finally, your work is going well. And this moon envelops the next 6 months of fullness and fruition and fulfillment in your work. But with Mars up there, it's possible 6 months from now, some of you may also end or change a certain particular job or career path, or you're just going to expand it with a lot of hard work and ambition. So there's some of that full moon that I'm not too worried about. It can bring greater levels of wealth. And if somebody in, your workspace or career space or whatever, going to give you a raise or promotion off of this full moon in the next 6 months, I wouldn't be at all surprised. So I'm going to say Libra, sun, moon, and rising, a big full moon is happening in a flowing trine to you from your Aquarius 5th house, and there's full light in the house of romance, love, and sexuality. And you planted seeds for that back in February, and transformation, power, and intensity as well. Now, it's also about your children and the relationship you have with them, Libra. And be careful, full moons here can get you or your partner pregnant. So there's that as well. With Algol, shocks and surprises, you didn't expect you were going to be making a baby, and you did. By the way, is it the reincarnation of Uncle Joe or Aunt Susie, because Algol's in the house of the dead? So there is a fertility signature here. If you're not looking at babies and stuff, there's a shocking, surprising amount of money coming to you out of the blue over the course of the next 6 months from this moon that comes from creative projects and or entrepreneurial endeavors. Jupiter is favoring you on this full moon with publications, book publishing, international revenue, international travel. And the moon is aligned with the possibility of expansion in the 9th house. You have a cazimi, of course, and this cazimi is happening here. It's opposite the moon, and the moon is shining the light of a cazimi, really. A Mercury in the heart of the sun. Divine downloads are coming from your friends and allies and your people that you hang out with. You're receiving energetic support, emails, texts, and phone calls from people in your social groups that really help you light up big time in that fifth house. If you're an artist, this is wonderful for fulfillment of artistic endeavors that lead to great success in publications, but also maybe in money. And that could be like royalty income or something like that. Ultimately, a full moon here is trying to shine light into a place that brings you joy and fulfillment and fun and pleasure. And so there's a desire from the seeds you planted in February to find a fullness of pleasure and fun and enjoyment and vitality again in your life, like a little kid, yeah, yippity doo-dah in your fifth house. And sexuality and romantic love can take a turn for the shocking and surprisingly better in your life over the course of the months that follow this full moon. And I forgot to say, with Juno in the house of you might be committing or recommitting to an existing relationship as well as a result of this moon here and Pluto. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign of full moon shines a big light. And it's not here, so we'll have to go back a day so you can see how fast that moon is moving. It's in, let's move us forward by an hour. It's a full moon that's shining in the house of home, property, land, and real estate. It's offering from seeds planted in February the possibility of a fullness in the home, a completion and ending of a home, a moving of a home, a changing of the home. And with Pluto, a powerful and very important one at that. A full moon light here is flowing to a Jupiter in an inheritance house, and there may be some legacy wealth, family of origin money coming to you, inheritance. This is the next 6 months. Because this is also connected to the wealth star Algol, Uranus energy, and Taurus, we can't forget to blend in the idea that the money may come through business partnerships, your marriage partnership, or a significant relationship as well. You may also have some shocking turning points in your significant relationship connected to your domicile. You may have a new contract to buy or sell a property. You may also be able to have some major changes in your life connected to your home and significant relationship coming off this surprising energy of Uranus over the next 6 months. The light of the sun, Cazimi Mercury is very important. I think it's exact on Sunday the 18th. And there is an energy that fuels this moon. It says like you're coming into a turning point of magnitude in your career and reputation space. And Mercury can give you anything, a new negotiation, a contract, a new agreement in the work setting. This positive, it's a Cazimi. So you may be getting up level, especially if you're in marketing or sales or communications like fields. You could be looking at promotions or new positive changes that help heal your chironic wound in the house of work. You've been dealing with that for a while. And work may have always felt a little bit like off sync for who you are. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks like you're going to have seeds planted in February and now full fulfillment of a lunation in your third house of travel, learning, siblings, ready projects, online social media, communications projects, ideas, selling and marketing, your local daily life environment, neighbors and neighbors. Yeah, a lot of stuff goes on in that junk drawer of the third house. So the interesting part of this full moon has got Pluto co-present. So it's powerful, it's intense, it's transformative, and it flows in a sextile to you. So you're not minding it. And it's operating in concert with some support from Jupiter in the marriage house, blessed endings or new beginnings or change in the marriage house, supporting a new beginning in neighbors, neighborhood environments, travel, communications projects, possibly. You would look at this energy of the Algol, meaning a karmic breaking point, perhaps in a significant person connection in your life. Breakthrough, breaking point, off with our heads, endings. This is ruled by Venus in her fall in the 10th house of reputation. For some of you, if you're in a relationship that's not working for you, this could end up completing the cycle of karma in that relationship and you're breaking free. But maybe full moon in the third house, traveling away from each other, changing your neighborhood, things like that. Oh dear, if you're single, none of this is going to matter to you. And this is really for those of you in relationship already. Otherwise, don't get into a new relationship under this sky. It's too intense if you can avoid it. Baking in the gnarly T-square from hell. A Mercury Cazimi in your 9th house that informs this lunation across the way. You may have insights or breakthroughs regarding visas, passports, legal status, foreign country travel, book publishing, third marriages. Mercury can give you the insights and ideas that shine brightly in the third, and with squaring shock and awe, Uranus, change. All right. If you want to go to university or school, this is good for educational opportunities emerging off this new moon in the 2 to 3 weeks that follow, and some surprises about that as well, because you can't get rid of Uranus, who always acts in a way that brings us a surprise. And you may have some unexpected travel opportunities for work. And if you do, they're very important because some of those travel opportunities from work can lead you into a new relationship for those singletons later on in the story. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. You planted seeds in February for a new beginning, a fullness of something that can now be harvested in the earnings house, the money house, the resources and possessions, self-worth, self-esteem as well, of course, and food styles. What do you eat? What do you put in your mouth? Time to make some changes. Now, a full moon is shedding light, but also fulfillment and fulfilling promises that began 6 months ago. It can be a fullness of earnings, a fullness of resources, and a fullness of possessions. You may be possessing something that you really want because chironic wound in the fourth house and because of the Mercury cazimi in the eighth of mortgages and banks, some of you may be able to possess a home. yeah, in the next 6 months from this full moon. But also, it's going to open up money or increase or fruition of financial wellness in the next 6 months. But because Algol, a wealth star, is in the house of good fortune where speculation happens, a stock pops. Market investment goes crazy. Your crypto goes over the top. You buy a lottery ticket that wins. You go to the casino and you cash out in. Some unexpected wealth stories can emerge here. It's not just your daily paycheck. It's rather the house of good fortune, fifth house, and the money generated there. Surprises to do with your children, and a full moon in the second news that you're going to be a parent, grandparent, whatever, those kinds of things. Are you pregnant? Are your Venus is in the house of grandchildren? Are you going to be a grandparent? That would be the most likely thing that occurs off this full moon over the next 6 months. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Big full moon, big shiny, bright light happening for you and me in the house of us. If your ascendant is anywhere near 27 degrees, let's go 24 to 29, you're really feeling it. So this is important. It's going to really impact you. It's not my ascendant is at 18, but my solar return ascendant is at 28. So I'm going to feel it from this year's solar return. So Aquarius, what we feel here is some kind of fulfillment and fullness and fruition, but also maybe a kind of like we come to a full cycle and we're going to like let it peak and let it end in ourself. We planted seeds for this way that we wish to operate in the world, a new beginning for how we open up our life and what we choose and what we aim for. And the full light is now showing us what the results are from this new pivot in February. You might want to go back to changes you were making in your life, in your work, your home life, your relationships with others in February, from the February 9th and maybe about March the 9th, because now you're seeing the results. But this is a lunation also that's connected to Algol, the fixed star in the house of real estate, home and property, domicile, and where you live. For me, every time this happened, where we had this Mars-Uranus conjunction, I had to move. I'm like still waiting to see why I need to move again. But you might be, so it happened before, we had this conjunction. Go watch my Mars-Uranus video. Happened 3 times since 2021. This last Mars-Uranus conjunction spot sensitized where this Uranus sits. This full moon is going to show us something to do with our home, changes in our home, and changes in our relationships with others, audience, marketplace, and significant long-term love. With Juno here, if you're in a third marriage, it could become more committed legally in the 6 months that follow this moon. But in this regard, the light of the sun is conjunct Mercury in the house of a significant business partner, love partner, or client, and that or significant other coming into your life. And that Mercury cazimi, is also flowing, squaring Algol and / Uranus. So big changes may come through clients, through relationship with significant business and love partners to where you live. And that may be what the promise of this full moon is about. And you may not see the evidence of that right away, although it could be anywhere 2 to 3 weeks after the full moon, but it can also play out within 6 months of the full moon. Jupiter is fondly gazing upon this full moon in Aquarius, lending support from the house of children, creativity, romance, sexuality, love, artistic projects and entrepreneurship. And certainly that allows for the happiest part of the story, because also good fortune can come to you financially, because Jupiter Uranus flow to a full moon in the sign of you from the house of good fortune and good financial fortune as well. And Pisces, you guys have a full light shining brightly from seeds planted in a new moon in February in the 12th house of spiritual liberation. And if that's all you ever do with this, it could be a great spiritual awakening, because you got the shock and awe of Algol here, giving it some juice. Well, Pluto powers you up here as well, right? So you may have some incredible transformation, a liberation from some self-undoing addiction, bad habit pattern, the way you fall away from yourself and you see the light of your own sabotaging ways. You can see clearly there's a flashlight there. It allows for deep transformation and shocking shifts of awareness and insights regarding siblings, local environment, extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, or a shocking, surprising travel opportunity that can emerge that's seeded into this part of the sky from July 15th. And now you're going to see when and where you can travel and why. And you may notice that this travel opportunity is obvious. You know, the moon is on the 19th out of month, but even over the months that follow, 6 months that follow. You might notice that there's a cazimi in the house of health. You may have a new clarity or insight or revelation or news about health matters. If you're looking for work, about work matters in a new neighborhood, work matters in a change of neighborhood, work matters that are involving travel. These are stories that get juiced up from this full moon. You may also find that you have karmic releases. I mean, this is an axis of karma, 6 and 12, and there are some big karmic shifts going on here for you during this full moon. And Mercury wants you to see something new about something, understand, reveal, or see about health, work, pets, rental agreements, and karmic contracts in your life. I feel like when I look at the sky here, the T-square from hell is making your marriage a little bit difficult right now. You know, okay, keep that in mind if you're married. But also karmic contracts can break and fracture in the next 6 months, and that can include marriage, partnerships, significant friendships, etc. And Jupiter's fondly gazing upon it from the house of home, but Mars suggests moving or construction or expansion of your home in the next 6 months. And so the moon wants to support that from foreign lands, foreign shores, and foreign people. And you may be able to generate money from home, from foreign people, foreign shores, and foreign lands, and really prosper up over the next 6 months. And the moon may give you the clues of how you can create that prosperity in and from your home. Jupiter says wealthy in and from the home, doing activity in and from the home. And Jupiter rules your career house, right? So doing your career in and from your home. Mars rules your money, making money in your career in and from your home, from digital income, borderless income, and international revenue. And the seeds of that are really fully being planted, and you're aware of the possibility more truly as this moon lights up that 12th house of foreign revenue. And in the 6 months that follow, that may be a major story for you. Thanks for listening. I hope this has been useful and helpful, and I hope that I have added some navigational tools to your toolbox. It was so hard to do this video because I had to look at so many different factors already. Please go back and watch Monday's Worlds Collide, pivotal, life-changing kind of stuff that goes on in the sky this week, because it's intense. And this moon is coming on the tail end of some of this week's stories and into next week. And you just can't even begin to try to figure it all out. It's just like everything everywhere all at once is how I've been thinking of it. But this is an important moon because Pluto's co-present and Jupiter supports it. And yet it's square Uranus and Algol. Ah. Have a good day, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Buckle up, buckle down. This video comes out on Thursday, recording on Monday. There may be a follow-up video. The Mercury Free Cazimi webinar, sign up below, is on Saturday. The Cazimi's on Sunday. And the video on the Cazimi for the general public probably comes out on Sunday, the day of the Cazimi, because I'm just so darn busy. Take care. Have a good weekend, week, day, month, year ahead. Ciao, everyone.